everyone, I'm here with a quick video just showing you the decks that I'm using for the month of June. I like to pick, a tarot deck for the month. I like to pick a oracle deck for the month. I usually also like to pick a oracle deck that has something to do with like gods and goddesses as well. And then I usually have like an affirmation deck and a cartomancy deck of some kind that I work with for the month. So if you are part of my Patreon where I do the weekly tarot scopes, or you get a reading from me on Etsy, these are probably the decks that you'll see, unless I'm doing a reading, of course, that is like with very specific decks that I do. But I also like to work with decks per month because it allows me to dive deeper into them. It allows me to kind of like attune with the seasons a little bit. I just find it lots of fun and allows me to focus instead of having like a whole bunch of different decks that I work with. So for the tarot deck I'm using this month, I'm using the Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. This is a Hay House deck. I like this deck because it has this kind of like fae sort of vibe to it. It's very fantastical. It's very naturey. I really love it. I feel like it really fits with kind of like those summer months. And so we have the Good Tarot here. Like I said, it is Hay House. So, the cards are a bit bigger. They are more oracle type size deck. So it can be like a little bit big on the hands. I don't mind it. I feel like there might be like a more matte version now, but I have the first version, which is more glossy, which if you've been on this channel with me for a while, I actually prefer glossy cardstock. I do not like matte. So I'm actually pretty happy with this deck. I kind of wish it was gilded. I miss when Hay House used to do the gilding, but I also understand why they aren't doing it anymore. The cost, and then also there were some people who, pointed out that, probably wasn't the most environmentally friendly. But anyway, I do really like this deck. I think it's got sort of like this fantastical type of imagery to it. It's got like very earthy, like all the earth cards. It's got like the suits are like the elements. It's air, fire, water, and earth. So earth is pentacles, and they've all got kind of this brown color to it. It's got a lot of imageries of like animals and nature and things. See there's another earth one. The fire all kind of have this pinky orange type of energy going. They often have fairies with lots of little lanterns going on. Got a unicorn here with some fireflies. The waters are all like this very bluey green, and we've got like some of the cards have mermaids. Here's another fire card. Oh, here's another water one. And you see here we've got sort of a salamander here with a shell in the little seashell here with a pearl in it. Got another earth card. Fire. Just going to see if we can get a swords card here. We've got earth. So it's got like this very fae type vibe to it. We've got mermaids, we've got unicorns, we've got fairies going on here. The court cards tend to be like, have a mix of colors. They're not so much like the elements where it's a very much, you get a dominance of sort of one color going on. Where are our swords here? We're getting lots of water here. Oh, this is so cute. This little ace of water with the seahorse. That's so cute. Oh, the airs have sort of, they're blue as well, but it's not so much blue-green. It's like a paler blue, and there's lots of sort of like angelic imagery going on and lots of birds and things going on in it. So it's a really just beautiful deck. I think it's very summery and very magical. Lots of feathers and things going on in the air suit. There we've got Justice. Some of the court cards have been changed. Like Justice is Justice, but I think the Devil is like Temptation. I love the Queen of Fire here. That is my court card that I feel represents me. So I'm always very interested to know how the Queen of Wands or Queen of Fire looks. So I love this one. Got the Empress there. I think Death is Transition. I'm not sure, but I don't mind it. I know some people don't care for that. They don't care for the names being changed. This is Judgment. It is the Call. I think if you know the numbers, then you're going to be fine. Also the imagery, like here we've got the angel, in the archway, that it kind of is reminiscent of, sort of the religious imagery that you see on most of the Judgment cards. So I think you can work with it. I don't mind it so much. I think it's a beautiful deck. One year I used it as my daily draw deck. And I really love working with it. The only downside I would say is just because the cards are so big, it can be hard doing a big spread with it because it just takes up so much room, but they are just really gorgeous cards to work with. And then I'm pairing it with the Forest Fairy Oracle as well as my Oracle deck for the month. So put that away. So our Oracle deck, the Forest Fairy Oracles, because again, I always think of June as having a lot of very fairy, fae type vibes to it. We have the Oracle, The Wild Green World by Lucy Cavendish, artwork by Maxine Gad. I apologize if I said her name wrong. I know there are some people that didn't care for the backs of these. I don't mind them. I think it's kind of cute, the idea of the fairy door, and then we go into the cards and we're going into the fairy world. The artwork on this is stunning. I actually have a book somewhere with this person's artwork in it. So I feel like this artwork was already made and then they attached the names to it. But either way, I don't mind. It still works for me. And you get like, you know, this very sort of seasonal, like there's some that are very summery. There's some that are very wintry. This one is very autumn. Actually, I think they're upside down now. Just got a very autumn vibe to it. This one's got more of an October-y one. Again, we've got sort of a fall vibe here. I don't mind that. It's got kind of like all seasons in it, so I actually don't really mind that with this deck, like with the time of year. Actually, it's funny, like I'm pulling this and right now I'm getting a lot of more like October-y type vibes. But I do like that it's got like a dark edge to it. It's not just all like sweetness. There is like some darkness in these cards. They're all very, very beautiful, very pretty. I think it goes really well with the Good Tarot, with all of this sort of fantastical type imagery to it. This one's kind of wintry, I find. This one's very, very summer. Got another wintry one as well. And I think it's kind of apt, actually, with the month that, at least in Northern Hemisphere, that we have the summer solstice in. It's sort of a reminder of the changing of the seasons. That's kind of more spring-like. Again, there's a little bit of a fall vibe there. But yeah, it's just a very, very pretty deck that goes really well with the Good Tarot. And I find they read together really well. And like I said, this deck isn't all, like, it's fantastical, but it has like a dark edge to it as well. It's not all sweetness and light, and I kind of like that, I have to say. The other deck that I'm working with that probably is the most fairy-like deck of all, the one that I think represents fairies in the best way, is the Fairy Oracle by Brian Froud. So instead of using a God and Goddess deck this month, I'm using a fairy deck, and I love this deck. I know there's people who have varying relationships with this deck. There are people who say they can't work with this deck, they just don't get it, or they lose it all the time. I have had this deck since I was in university. I either got it in the late 90s or early 2000s, but I got it when it came out, and it's been with me like forever. And I just love this deck. I think it is probably the closest to the way I think of fairies. I really like that you don't just get sort of the sweet fairies in here. You also get ones that are a little bit trickier, a little more tricksterous, a little darker. You also get these that have like sort of more of a light or angelic type vibe to it. Love that. I love Geo the Slow. Very, very cute. It's like a little gnome there. Got Pixies. Penelope Dreamweaver. I think it's just a beautiful, wonderful deck, and the guidebook with it is amazing. I don't know if it's still in print. I feel like it is. I also have the Heart of Fairy Oracle, which sadly is not in print anymore. But this deck, I just really love and enjoy this deck. And it's one of my oldest decks and one that I work with regularly. I just think it is a really lovely and wonderful deck. So that's the Tarot and Oracle decks I'm working with. For the Cartomancy deck this month, and actually for the summer, I'm going to be using the Celtic Lenormand. I think it goes really well again with sort of that fairy fae vibe. It's got, you know, obviously it's got like a Celtic vibe to it. I love that it's got, you know, different alternative cards. So it's got more than one bird card. There's the birds here, and then there's also owls and chickens. And so you can choose which one, but I also see them as having like slight variations. So for example, the birds here is about communication and talk that's good. So it's about like friends talking, communication, whereas the chickens is more about gossip, and the owl is more about advice and wisdom. Our Celtic Cross here. Some of the cards can be a little bit difficult. Like this one's easy, the ship and the cross, the dog. We've got the fox here. But this one, this is the tower. And so unless you know that, you can be like, well, what is this? Is this, you know, is this a house? Like what is this building? So you have to kind of look at it and know. I also enjoy that there's two snakes in this. There's this snake I see as transformation, and the other snake I see as deception, because this one's shedding its skin. So it's like it's transforming. We also have 2 women and 2 men here. So you can mix it up depending who you're reading for. I kind of leave them both in. I like to leave the full deck in, but it's nice that you can choose that if you're reading for someone and they're maybe in like a same-sex couple, then you can like have the 2 card, like the 2 cards in there. So it gives you like kind of a variety of things to work with. I like the key. Let's see if we can find some more. Oh, the broom. This one's a little bit hard too. You have to know that this is like the heart isn't so prominent, so you really have to kind of look for it. It can be easy to mix that one up with the clouds. That's like the paths there. This one is the house. It's a really lovely deck, and I love the colors, and I think it really works well with the other decks. There's the owls there. They're really pretty. And then for my affirmation deck, and this is one that you won't see in a reading with me. This is just more that I use for my own personal use. I have here the Butterfly Affirmations deck by Alana Fairchild. You know what? This is really just a deck of affirmations with butterflies on the back. But I will pick an affirmation to kind of work with for the week. So all of the backs here have different butterflies on them. You know, so this is like my summertime affirmation deck. I haven't even seen a butterfly yet. It's been like so cold here. And so rainy and wet. We're just starting to get into warmer weather, so I hope I will see a butterfly soon. But yeah, really pretty on the back. And then the front all has things like this, where it's like, I'm valuable, many people are thankful for my presence in their lives. So it has like kind of this pastel color and then a really nice affirmation. My intuition is strong and clear. I trust the voice within. I am thankful for many things, and my gratitude attracts abundance into my life. The universe is always helping me, sometimes in unexpected ways. So just these really nice thoughts. So why don't we pull one just to end this off? See what butterfly we get. See what affirmation we have. Okay. So we have here, everything is going to be okay. Gosh, I hope it is. But it's a really nice thought, and it's just like a nice thing to remind yourself. And then we have this butterfly on the back. So just like a really nice deck for just nice thoughts to, you know, work with for the week. So that is the decks that I'm using for the month of June. Let me know if you like these decks. Do you have any of them? Do you work with any of them? What's your relationship with the Fairy Oracle if you have it? I know people have varying relationships with it. Thank you again so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons. You guys make all this possible, so thank you so, so much. And I will see you all next time. And as always, peace and love and rock.